Dear students, welcome back to the online sessions on analog electronic circuits. In today's session, we'll try to cover class D type of the power amplifier and also some of the changes which we can make to the circuit that we discussed in the previous session for class AB type of the power amplifiers. Okay. So after these things, we straight away go with the problems in the class A, class B type of the power amplifiers. So most often the problems have been asking in are been asked in the class A and class B type of the power amplifiers. Therefore, I just want to discuss the problems on class A and class B. Right. So in today's session, we'll straight away quickly go with the class AB type of the power amplifier circuit diagram. Okay. If you see this output graph, at crossover distortion, we find that there is no signal. At crossover distortion, we find that there is no signal. That means what is the reason of this? It is the output of the class AB push-pull type of the power amplifier. That is the drawback of the class AB type of the push-pull power amplifier. Now, in order to overcome this drawback of crossover distortion, which is happening in the class AB type of the power amplifier, we are going to, which is happening in the class B push-pull power amplifier. Crossover distortion is the result at the output of the class B type of the push-pull amplifier. So to avoid this crossover distortion, which is happening in the class B type of the push-pull amplifier, we are simply going into the class AB type of the power amplifier circuit. Now, as I tell you already, the circuit diagram is very important. You should not get confused in the circuit diagram while drawing it for class AB push-pull type of power amplifier, class B push-pull power amplifier, class AB push-pull power amplifier, and complementary symmetry, class B power amplifier, right? And the push-pull class AB complementary symmetry, class AB type of power amplifier, and class D power amplifier. This is a confusion, little bit confusion that you're going to have. So you have to compulsorily observe carefully about the circuit changes for various types of such circuits. Okay. So let us, now this circuit diagram is basically for class, the circuit diagram is basically for the class AB type of the power amplifier. Now what is the circuit diagram for class AB push-pull power amplifier? One transistor is going to push, another transistor is going to pull the output. So therefore it is going to be like, push-pull type of the power amplifier. So in this power amplifier, both the transistors are NPN type. That is one important thing. And in either of the two cases, the two transistors are CE configurations. For power amplifiers, we prefer only CE configuration because it gives us very good power gain. It gives us a very good power gain. That is the reason why we use the CE configuration in the power amplifiers. That is one important point. Next thing is class B push-pull type of power amplifier. We are going to use two similar type of the transistors known as NPN here, NPN here. We don't get a doubt that can't we use both of them going to be PNP, PNP? We don't prefer usage of the PNP transistors because the PNP the mobility of holes in the PNP type is going to be very much less than the mobility of electrons. So that is the reason why we always prefer NPN type of transistor in the practical circuits. So only we are using the NPN type of the transistor circuit diagram here also. Now, just remember the circuit diagram that because it is common emitter configuration, the two emitters are simply connected to the ground. The next is output. At the output side, you're going to have a transformer, and the center tapped connection of the output transformer is simply connected to VCC. This is the circuit diagram which you're going to have. And secondary is connected to the loudspeaker, and input is applied through the step down transformer. Right. So this is the circuit diagram which we have it for class B push-pull type of the power amplifier. The problem that we are encountering is known as the crossover distortion. That means practically how it is happening. The signal is coming up to here. Then after that, what is happening? The other transistor, that means this transistor, the other transistor is turning on after some time. Therefore, what is happening here? You normally going to lose some portion of the signal. That means this part, we just made it as a same value because nothing is there in between. So therefore, this part is simply missing over here. So that is termed as a distortion because input is like this at zero crossings. Perfectly, there is a clear-cut smoothing waveform is appearing at the input. Now coming to the output, now there is a change in the shape of the output from the input signal. So that means since there is a change in the shape, we say that output is distorted. In the case of the class B push-pull type of the power amplifiers. To overcome this crossover distortion, we are simply incorporating the class AB type of the power amplifier circuit. Now I am dealing here with another type of the circuit for class AB type of the power amplifier circuit. Okay. So we can draw two varieties of circuits. One circuit we have seen in the last session. Now in this session, I just wanted to introduce you with another circuit of the class AB type of the power amplifier. So you can draw either one of the two circuits for a class AB push-pull type of the power amplifier circuit. Now, what is the only problem that we are getting here is the transistor, when the signal is going in the negative half cycle, one of the transistor Q2 is not turning on until 0.7 volts. That means up to 0 to minus 0.7 volts, that voltage is simply missing here. That means that voltage is not being transmitted to the output side of the circuit diagram, output side of the circuit. So therefore, in order to clamp this value, what we're doing is we are simply incorporating a diode here. So this diode is going to clamp the voltage level to the input of the transistors of 0.7 volts, so that initially at the very beginning, without any input signal, we have applied only VCC. Once you switch on the power supply, only Q1, Q2 will be in the on condition. Q1, Q2 will be in the on condition. Why? Because there is going to be a voltage called VD, which has been clamped to the base of transistor Q1 as well as to Q2. That means initially, before the application of the externally applied input signal, we are going to have some potential applied to the base of transistor Q1 and Q2 because of the diode D. So diode D is going to transmit. Now there is a closed loop path to diode if you see carefully this circuit diagram. So this circuit diagram is really important for us. So let us look into the circuit diagram now. See this now, this is power supply to the amplifier circuit. Now we normally going to have a DC current flowing through VCC to R. Then diode D is going to turn into on condition if the input voltage applied is going to be more than 0.7 volts. So definitely VCC is going to be more than 0.7 volts. It will be ranging, VCC will be ranging from 5 volts to around 15 volts DC. Therefore, the DC voltage, say for example, 15 volts have been given suddenly from this point to the diode D. Once I apply 15 volts to this, diode D turns into on condition. Once the diode D turns into on condition, what is the voltage that will be there across the diode? It will be 0.7 volts. This is positive side, positive, and this is going to be negative side of the battery. If you replace diode by a battery of 0.7 volts, what happens now? This VD is connected to positive polarity, and negative polarity is simply connected to the ground. That's how I can replace the battery for a diode, right? So this is 0.7 volt. This 0.7 volts is applied to Q1 as well as to Q2. So both the transistors will be in the on condition initially. Now, since both the transistors are on initially, what happens now? what happens to the Q point now? The Q point is intentionally going to get shifted above the zero line. In the case of class B type of power amplifier, the Q point here is always going to be on the zero axis. If the Q point is on zero axis, it is known as class B push-pull power amplifier. When the Q point is just above the zero, and it definitely we know that Q point is going to lie on the load line, on the AC load line 100%. So therefore, usually Q point is nothing but the operating point we adjust at the operating conditions. That means on the average DC line, that means on the DC line, we normally going to have the Q point. So therefore, Q point is shifted intentionally above the zero axis. This is zero axis. Above zero axis, I am shifting by applying the VD voltage. That means the Q point is clamped to a voltage which is greater than 0.7 volts approximately. That means when you apply 0.7 volts to the input of Q1 and Q2, both the transistors will turn into on condition. That means initially at startup, two transistors will be in the on condition. That is what the condition that we will be having here. Now, because of that reason, what happens, the crossover distortion is simply going to get eliminated. Okay, that's what the advantage that we are going to get here. Okay. Now, after this, let us look into another circuit diagram. Now, circuit operation is going to be same. What is circuit operation? When you apply the input voltage, you have to explain the operation circuit. That means when you apply the input voltage at the input terminals or the primary terminals of the source transformer, positive peak is simply transmitted through Q1 transistor. In the negative side, when the negative peak is going to come, Q1 turns into off condition, Q2 turns into on condition. Okay. Now Q2 is already on. Q2 is already on. Since Q2 is already on, just after zero value. Now we have got a zero value here. Just after the zero value, immediately this signal is simply being transmitted through the transistor Q2. So because signal is getting transmitted through Q2, and we normally going to get the output current. Okay, this is how we normally going to have the current. Say for example, when Q1 is on, how the current transmits? From emitter, the current comes like this, goes to the ground, and from ground, it is coming to VCC. From VCC, it is going to the primary of the load transformer, and it comes from here to here, and Q1 base and emitter, like this, the current is flowing. Okay, that means this is how the current is simply flowing. Now reverse is going to be true for this one. That means when Q2 is on, what is the current direction now? Q2 emitter to ground. From ground, it comes to the ground VCC. From VCC comes over here, and then secondary part of the output transformer comes here like this. Okay, it flows like this. From here, it flows like this. There is a winding here, collector, base, and then emitter, like this, the current is coming. So that is what the direction of the current flow. How the current is flowing, it is flowing something like this. So don't get confused with the flow of current. This is important. This is what you would explain in the exam with the direction of the current. That means the flow of current. How can we explain the flow of current here? See, the current is, if when Q2 is on, the current is coming like this. It's flowing like this to the ground. So from ground, once again, I'm going to have what? From ground, I'm going to have to VCC. Current comes to VCC. Because it is connected to ground. VCC means what? This is something like this. It is something like this. VCC is connected to ground, and from VCC it comes here, and then the current flows. That means something like this. I can just have now. So current comes like this from VCC. It's flowing like there is a wire. Current goes like this, comes like this, and it mingles with this. So that is how the current direction of the current flow in the circuit diagram when Q2 is in the on condition. That means in one half cycle, Q1 is on, another half cycle, approximately Q2 will be in the on condition. So the Q point is important here. What is the Q point here that I'll be having here now? Let us look into the Q point now. What is the Q point that we are going to have here? So the Q point, if you see carefully, Q point is above the zero line. Since Q point is above zero line, we say that the Q point is adjusted here. Just because of this operating point position, we say it as a class AB type of the power amplifier. That means the class AB type of the push-pull power amplifier is a modified version of the class AB push-pull power amplifier, right? You should not say class AB as the class B push-pull power. We can say class AB as the modified version of the class B push-pull power amplifier. That's what we can always say over here, right? Now, same class AB power amplifier we can draw in a complementary symmetry fashion. So if you draw this in a complementary symmetry fashion, how can we draw? We have to see that now. Complementary symmetry means look into the transistor types. The two transistors should be complements to each other. That means Q1, if it is NPN transistor, Q2 has to be a PNP type of the transistors. Now here PNP type should be common emitter and NPN is also going to be of common emitter. Therefore, I just going to connect a common emitter type of the configuration here. And from the biasing, how I am applying biasing now? Biasing is applied through the resistors R1, R2 and R2, R3. So Q1 is biased from R1, R2, VCC, R1 and R2. Look at the diagram here. The transistor Q1 is biased from power supply plus VCC, R1 and R2. The Thevenin's equivalent voltage is applied to the base of the transistor Q1. Because of that, we will be having the bias voltage. And we have to see that this bias voltage should be compulsorily greater than, say, 0.7 volts, which is nothing but the cut-in voltage of Q1 transistor. Similar to that is going to be PNP. So PNP is also going to get forward biased by the resistors R2 and R3 and minus VCC. Because of that, Q2 turns into on condition. That means initially both the transistors once again are in the on condition. That means it is going to be called as a complementary type of the push-pull class AB power amplifier. Now, why I am saying it as class AB? Because the Q point is intentionally been brought above the zero line. Okay, the Q point is intentionally going to get shifted upwards above the zero line. See, this Q point is intentionally shifted above the zero line. That is the reason why we call it as a class AB type of the power amplifier. That means the class A, class B, class C, class D, class AB differs from the firing angle in general. So here the firing angle is going to lie between 180 degrees and 360 degrees. So that is why it is called as a class AB type of the power amplifier. Now here the reason, now that's what I was talking to you. What is the reason why we call it as a complementary symmetry? Q1 is NPN, Q2 is PNP. So because of this reason, we simply call it as a complementary symmetry type of the power amplifier circuit. All right. So that means here, because of this, what you'll be having now? Because of this, we're going to have the complementary symmetry. So minus 0.7 is applied to the base of Q2, plus 0.7 is applied to the base of Q1. Because of that, both the transistors will be in the on condition. Now, how much voltage? That means the resistor that is there between Q1 and Q2 is going to be R2. So we can write the KVL in the loop between the base emitter junctions of Q1 and Q2 transistors. Now, if you apply KVL to this loop, imagine that the current is flowing like this in this loop. This is the path of the current flow. In this path, current is flowing as it has been indicated by the arrow mark. So I may consider this as some Vx voltage across R2. So raise in potential is positive for me, minus 0.7, drop in potential is minus, drop in potential is also minus 0.7 equal to 0. So Vx has to support, that means voltage across R2 should be equal to 1.4 volts. Okay, so you have to adjust R1, R2, R3 such that this Vx voltage should be equal to 1.4 volts so that both the transistors will be in the on condition. What is the problem with this circuit? The problem is that there is no temperature compensation here. As the temperature changes, the VBE voltage changes. What happens to the drop across resistor? They won't change. Now, because of that reason, what happens? The Q point position is also going to change, which is undesirable for us. Therefore, in order to bring the temperature changes, we have to simply incorporate diodes instead of the resistor R2. Since you have two transistors, better use two diodes, p-n junction diodes. Now, once again, if you use a p-n junction diode, same problem exists here like what we discussed in the previous class. That is what the characteristics of p-n junction diode should be equal to the characteristics of the input side of the two transistors. So when this is matched, then only we normally going to achieve class AB type of the power amplifier with temperature compensation. So as VBE changes, the voltage across diode is also going to change. If VBE increases, the voltage across diode increases. If VBE decreases, voltage across diode is also going to decrease proportionately, provided if the transistor and the diode are going to have similar input characteristics. Under that conditions, we can get the class AB complementary symmetry push-pull power amplifier with temperature compensation circuit. So this is what just we can have it over there. So in the whatever the equations that we have got for class B push-pull power amplifier holds good for the class AB type of the amplifier also. Okay. So the next one is class D. The last amplifier that I would like to discuss is class D type of the power amplifier. Class D power amplifier is pretty simple. Why it is very much simple? See here. There is no input transformer. There is no output transformer in the case of the class D push-pull power amplifier. So class D push-pull power amplifier is especially used for switching purposes. Therefore, it is used as a switching amplifier. Wherever we have switching operations need to be performed in the power amplifier sector, there we'll be simply using the class D type of the power amplifiers. So that means the operation is very inevitable now. The input to the amplifier we're going to apply as a square wave, output we are going to get as a square wave definitely. That means if you apply input as a square wave, we are going to get the output as a square wave. Now, as the amplifier is an inverted amplifier, if you apply negative voltage, you get a positive voltage output. If you apply positive voltage, you get negative voltage, or vice versa, like that. So we normally going to get. So basically, you can just get we give a square wave as the input, you get inverted square wave as the output. Why inversion? Because we are using a CE amplifier circuit. CE amplifier is always going to invert the input signal. It can be called as an inverter circuit. A simple transistor, it can also be called as an inverter because it provides 180 degrees phase shift from the input phase of the signal at the output. That is why it is called as an inverter circuit. Okay. Now practically, how we can use this circuit? This is an example of a practical example of utilization of the class D power amplifier. See here, this class D is used as a switching amplifier because we always operate with a PWM output. The input, the PWM signal will be given as input to the amplifier circuit, and the output of amplifier, which has been increased in terms of power level, is applied to the comparator circuit. in order to control the speed of the motor, in order to control the inventory control systems, we're going to use these kind of a closed loop control systems. Okay. So to control the speed of a tachometer, to control the speed of lathe machines, in order to control the inventory control system mechanism operations, we're going to use this type of a class D power amplifier in a setup like this. Okay. So this is what the practical circuit diagram which we can really going to use. So the output of this class D can be used to control even actuators also. Okay. So this is how we normally going to draw the class D type of the power amplifier circuit. So class D, there is no firing angle for class D power amplifier. Therefore, we say that the efficiency is going to be 100% here. Actually, it should not come in the what is that place of the power amplifiers. Why? Because power amplifiers we're defining with respect to the firing angle. Here, firing angle is not an issue. That means Q point is not an issue. The only issue is that here is that efficiency. So we get 100% efficiency in the case of the class D type of the power amplifier circuit. Here we try to derive the expression for efficiency of class D type of the power amplifier circuit. So from Fourier series expansion, we can say the amplitude of fundamental component is simply given by V1M is equal to 4 by pi VCC, which we have derived in the case of rectifier circuits. And next, the signal can be treated as a sinusoidal signal, which is changing with respect to time. Therefore, I can write V1 is equal to VIM sin omega t, where theta is going to be fixed or a constant. So VIM, the maximum peak, single peak of the input signal is written as equal to 4 by pi into VCC. I'll just substitute that, and current is nothing but equal to voltage by resistance. So this is the voltage value by resistance means multiply by 1 by RL. I can write. Now to find out average DC collector current over the interval 0 to T by 2, we have to integrate this equation of current, using which I'll be getting the IC current. So IC current I can write as equal to something like this. Integral of sine is nothing but minus cos omega t by omega. Apply limits, we'll be getting this. Now for 2 pi radians, we can write omega t is equal to 2 pi. So therefore omega t, this 2, when it takes onto the left hand side denominator, I'll get omega t by 2 is equal to pi. So I can write this equation. That means cos omega t by 2 is nothing but equal to cos pi, which is equal to minus 1. So here I have cos omega t by 2. So to solve this, I just made this substitution. All right. So this is what we can write here as minus into minus plus 4 into VCC by pi RL into 1 by omega t. Okay, 1 by omega t. What about cos omega t by 2? It is nothing but minus 1. So I can write this as minus 1, it is going to be minus 2. So minus into minus plus. So I'll get plus 2, all right, into 1 by omega t. 1 by omega t. So what is 1 by omega t? This is omega t. 1 by omega t is 1 by 2 pi. So I can write 1 by 2 pi. So this 2 will get cancelled. I'll just simply left over with ID is equal to 4 by pi square VCC by RL. I'll get. Now, what is the total input power? It is PDC equal to VCC into IDC. Now, IDC is because of 2 transistors. This IC what we got as IDC for a single transistor. 2 transistors I have to use. Therefore, I can write this as IDC is equal to 2 times IC. So I'll simply write here as 2 times IC and all that. So VCC into 2 times IC. So whatever that we have got here as something like 2 times IC. So it is something like 4 by pi square VCC into RL into VCC. So this entire factor that we have got ID as going to be equal to 2 times VCC, 2 times IC. So this is nothing but our ID that is the DC current. So 4 by pi square is RL I can write. So I can just simply have 8 by pi square into VCC square by RL. Okay, here pi into pi square I'll get. Now what about this is the DC power? What about AC power? It is IRMS square into RL, general formula. IRM is nothing but IM by root 2. What is IM? IM is nothing but just to derived 4 by pi. Single IM I have to do. Single IM means I'll be having 4 by pi VCC by RL. Okay, so that is what the half wave rectified input current. So it is 4 by pi into VCC by RL is nothing but the magnitude of the maximum current. Just by substituting this, what I can have now, PAC is equal to IRMS square, I can write as equal to simply IM by 2, IM square by 2 into RL. So what is 1 by 2 taken outside? IM. What is IM? IM I can write as something like 4 into VCC by 4, sorry, by pi RL whole square into RL. By just simply solving this equation, we'll be getting the overall efficiency as 100%. So we can say that the maximum efficiency of class D power amplifier is around 100%. So class D power amplifier is preferred wherever we expect 100% efficiency, and in that case, the power amplifier should be used as a switch. So this is what regarding the power amplifiers that we have in the syllabus. So we'll stop our session here. In next session, what we do is we'll try to solve problems on class A and class B type of the power amplifier circuits. Thank you very much for today's session.